Yeah. So it's just gone 8 o'clock, and welcome everybody. Welcome anybody who is tuning in on the recording. And this morning, as usual on a Wednesday, we're going to do a self-care meditation, what I call a self-care meditation. And I think this is really important practice, because if we want to be kinder and more settled in the world, more positive in the world, then it's much easier if we can begin by being kinder and more positive to ourselves. Generally, I don't know about you, but I'm not always kind to myself, and I think sometimes we can be pretty horrible to ourselves. We expect a lot of ourselves sometimes, and sometimes we're not very forgiving if things go wrong, or we embarrass ourselves or feel humiliated. So I want, in this practice, we're looking at those different parts of ourselves. We're looking at, we're just looking at all our different aspects. We're complex human beings. And at the moment, as we practice, we'll become slightly less complex as time goes on. We begin by being very scattered before we ever meditate. We have a tendency to spin off into all sorts of negative emotions. Anger, disappointment, upset, envy, and all those kind of things. And what we're trying to do is we're trying not to do that in our meditation. We're trying to ground ourselves in a sense of equanimity and kindness and wisdom. And this comes gradually from noticing what's going on with us. So we might notice that we get angry in a certain situation, or we get we have an aversion to doing something that we need to do. So what we can do is we can just notice these things. We can notice when we're unkind. We can notice when we judge people, and that's all we have to do, really. If we take the attitude that I really don't want to do that, I really must stop doing this, then that is just another form of habit or craving. So all we're doing really to change ourselves, to become less scattered, is to just notice and what we're doing. Notice our moods, notice the feelings in the body that come from them, notice our suffering when we get upset and angry and disappointed and envious and so on. And if we can notice this suffering, then it will begin to moderate and change. It's completely counterintuitive. We're not on a self-improvement program. What we're trying to do is to see how we are and just accept ourselves as we are at the moment. And that acceptance feeds through ultimately into a sense of stillness and kindness and non-judging of ourselves and others. Okay, so I'll stop there and we'll do the meditation. I just want to say welcome to Christine, Shradagupta, Jane and Noel, and it's lovely to have you with us. Got a bumper crowd this morning, which is lovely. So we'll begin by settling in. And sometimes it's good to take some deep breaths and just relax on the out breath. Maybe 3 or 4 deep breaths, relaxing on the out breath. Then just notice how you're here right now, lying on the bed, on the floor, sitting on a chair or a cushion. Just noticing what that feels like. Noticing the sensations in the body as you contact whatever you're sitting and lying on. Lots of tingling or gentle vibration in the body at the point of contact, always changing, always in process somehow, coming and going. Noticing any sounds you can hear. The warmth or coldness of the air on your skin. Anything you can smell. And the taste in your mouth. Maybe also the texture in your mouth. Just trying to home in on our present moment experience in all its richness. And just taking stock of how you are, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Probably all connected. And however you are, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, comfortable or uncomfortable, in those three kinds of being, just accepting how it is. We often try and fight the way we are, and it's completely pointless, because that's the way we are. It's kind of a denial of the truth. So in meditation, we're not denying the truth, we're turning to face things exactly as they are, with kindness and a little bit of wisdom to know that as long as we notice the difficult things, as long as we accept them, they will get easier. So bringing attention to the breath in the body, the chest rising and falling. Relaxing on the out breath, then relaxing a bit more. And bringing our attention, our awareness down to the bottom of the rib cage, right in the center. Just behind there is what we call the chitta, the heart center, the source of all our positive emotion. So just to begin with, you might bring to mind someone you love, a person or a pet. Just bring them to mind as an image or a sense of them. And just see what happens in this heart center. There could be a sense of warmth, sense of love, sense of positive emotion. So if there isn't, don't worry about it. Just keep staying open to the possibility that you will feel this. Keep imagining someone you love. If you can feel it, this warmth or sense of loving kindness, just allow it to spread throughout your body, not forcing it, just opening up more and more to it, opening your heart to this sense of love and kindness. And in a way, you can allow yourself to become loving kindness. So we begin this meditation in this first stage of just thinking, reflecting on ourselves as a whole, complex human beings, precious human beings, like a precious gem, with lots of facets, lots of complexity. But we are beautiful, more beautiful than we know. And some parts of ourselves we like, other parts we don't like, and some we ignore. So in this first part, I just want us to turn with loving kindness to the whole of our being. The good bits, the bad bits, the neutral bits, the pleasant bits, the unpleasant bits, the bits we like, the bits we don't like. Just taking the whole of ourselves and having a sense of kindness towards it. We may not be perfect, but we are doing our best. And we're as perfect as we need to be in this moment. We're as perfect as we can be in this moment. So just appreciating the whole of ourselves as we journey through our path of life, doing our best, a work in progress. Can we wish the whole of ourselves well? Can we shower the whole of our imperfect self, our perfectly imperfect self? Can we shower it with a sense of love and acceptance? So in the next stage, we're going to reflect on friendship. It's good to have people who support us from around us, around ourselves, our friends, our family. It's really important to have that if we can have it. But the most important thing is to befriend ourselves. There's no substitute for the support and kindness and care that we can give to ourselves. It's there all the time. It's there come what may. So can we be our own best friend? Standing by ourselves in difficult times, supporting ourselves, encouraging ourselves, taking care of ourselves. Can we be like any good friend, any really good friend, supporting ourselves when things go wrong, when we feel embarrassed and humiliated, taking care of ourselves when we feel a bit rubbish, and rejoicing in our successes, and just generally being there all the time, no matter what, just like a good friend. In the third stage, we're going to turn towards the part of us that is often a little bit scared, or feels inadequate, or not quite good enough. We could see this part of us as a small child, our inner child, probably been with us all our lives, this small child, ever since we were small ourselves. And this small child gets worried, doesn't quite feel up to things sometimes, doesn't quite feel good enough or strong enough or clever enough. So can we picture this small child within in our minds? And if this was a child in the outside world, what would we do to reassure it? We would give it love, wouldn't we? We would give him or her lots of love and encouragement and reassurance. So can we do that with our own small inner child? Can we look after him or her and reassure and help and support and encourage? In the fourth stage, we're going to turn towards the part of us that is often angry with ourselves, judgmental to ourselves, critical. This is our inner critic. This is our inner critic that is always there, judging us, criticizing, wanting us to be better than we are, wanting us not to have done things that we did, not to be how we are. So this inner critic might feel harsh and something that isn't on our side. But in fact, our inner critic is just trying to make us safe. is completely misguided in that the inner critic doesn't realize that we need to start from where we are. Each moment is a chance to change. But the inner critic just wants us not to be like we are. It's frightened. The inner critic is worried that we won't fit in, that we aren't good enough, that we need to be better. None of that is true. We might need to change, but we can't be any different to how we are right now. So we need a sense of kindness towards our inner critic. We need to help our inner critic understand that change is possible, but this is where we're starting from. So can we reassure our inner critic? Can we soothe it and tell it that it's okay? Can we stop feeling that we have to do what the inner critic tells us and instead help the inner critic to settle down and feel a little bit safer and happier? And in the final stage, we're going to turn towards the whole of ourselves again. This complex human being, tender, sensitive, vulnerable. And we often deny, at least in our outward face, that we are vulnerable and sensitive. So just seeing that we do need to take care of ourselves. We do need to be our own best friend. We do need to nurture and care for the inner child that is inside us all. And we need to reassure our inner critic that we will change, but that everything's fine. And we may not be able to change some things, and they're fine as they are. So just having this sense of deep loving kindness towards all the different facets of our precious jewel, all the different ways that we are in the world, knowing that we can change some and knowing that others are okay just as they are, even though they're not what we might want. Just accepting ourselves as we are right now, with a sense of loving kindness. Well, thank you for joining me this morning, all of you. It's just great. It's just so lovely to have this community online in the morning. I'll be back at 11 with our morning cup of meditation. And as I said at the beginning, if you'd like to join us on our regular Friends Sangha evening, community evening tonight, you're very welcome. It's quite a fairly small group usually. It's not loads of people, but we just have a meditate, and then we just discuss practice of some kind, and we're on Zoom. So what I didn't say earlier is, if you want to join us, if you go to our website, yorkbuddhistgroup.com, you'll find a link there to this evening, a Zoom link, and you need to have Zoom installed, of course, which is free, but then you can just click on the link and you will come straight to us. So that's on our website, and I think it's under the first tab, and there's a whole load of headings, and one of them is Sangha Night. So just go there, or if you get our newsletter, it's on the newsletter. So thank you for joining me this morning, and it's just great to see you, and have a really good day if I don't see you at 11, and maybe see you again soon. So lots of love to you, and goodbye.